Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to the video. This is a paid request from Brooklyn. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reviews, re-reviews, reactions, video game playthroughs, or have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, I wasn't quite sure what Brooklyn wanted because he sent the request, but he just said Royal Rumble 1998, so I didn't know if he wanted a review or a commentary. So I assume he means reacting to the Royal Rumble match itself, which is on Daily Motion. Royal Rumble 1998 on Daily Motion is 58 minutes and 14 seconds long. So I will react to that. I am pause at the beginning. It means 58 minutes and 13 seconds. You can find on Daily Motion if you want to follow along. Now, to kind of bring people up to speed of what was going on in this state of affairs in wrestling, this is what the card was. Vader defeats the artist formerly known as Goldust, but Vader would not be in the WWF too much longer. I know it's WWE, but I'm so used to calling it WWF. Because Vader, not too long after, he would get into these matches where he's losing, and he was so disappointed with himself. I remember at one point he came out with a match and called himself a fat piece of shit. Rest in peace to Vader. I still remember the match he had with Shawn Michaels where Vader messed up he was supposed to dodge a maneuver from Shawn, and Shawn lands next to him and goes, "Move!" and then tits him in the head. "Move, you dumb fuck!" Tits him in the head again. Because Shawn did not like working with Vader and didn't want to put Vader over. So it's kind of hard to buy Vader as a big, bad heel when your champion doesn't want to do that. Goldust, that's Dustin Rhodes, one of the sons of Dusty Rhodes. Of course, he's also the brother of Cody Rhodes, who's very popular right now in WWE. Dustin, I think, is still in AEW. Goldust at this point, being a very flamboyant character, kind of lying into people's psyche, the possible homophobia, whatever the case you want to be, that people would be angry with Goldust. Definitely a unique character at that time. There were some other bits throughout the years, like the bit you had with Roddy Piper. I think during one of the WrestleManias, was it? Where like Roddy Piper gets into a vehicle and then they do the whole Ford Bronco O.J. Simpson chase, where he's chasing after Goldust and beat him in the street fight. Because I think originally it was supposed to be Razor Ramon, but then Scott Hall didn't want to do that and didn't want to deal with this, so then they brought in Roddy Piper. That kind of seemed out of the blue. The second match, but a bunch of little people. Max Mini, Mosiak, and Nova defeating Battalion, El Torito, and Tarantula. Just little people having a 3-on-3 fight. Sunny being a guest referee. Many years before, she decided to, I don't know, kill someone. Of course, as I forget that my damn soda is full and I spill over myself, which is great, and stain my shirt. You know what? That fits. That's how I feel about that fucking match. And how I feel about Sunny. Because she's a fucking bitch. Hot. She was beautiful, but she's a bitch. Who would go on shoot interviews talking about how she slept with this wrestler and she slept with this wrestler, so she was a fucking hoe bag. And not only that, she would never get her shit together. She kept having DUI after DUI after DUI, and then lo and behold, one day, drinking and driving, hit someone, hit another car. By hitting another car, person died. So she got someone killed, manslaughter, and now she's in jail, where she belongs. Does a person die because of your stupidity, because you didn't fucking grow up, Sonny, you bitch? Son's gonna be the last thing you don't see for a while because you're gonna be in that fucking prison cell for a long time. The Rock, Rocky Maivia, who is the Intercontinental Champion, he defeated Ken Shamrock, but not technically, because Ken Shamrock, real fighter, strong guy, may not have the most personality, but he was a tough sumbitch. You could really buy him. His legit. I see a legit guy in there. And technically Ken Shamrock won, but he had this maneuver and he wouldn't let go of it because he had this hot temper anger. And then if you don't let go, you're disqualified. So Ken Shamrock did win, but then he kept going and then he lost. Thus, The Rock maintained his championship belt. The Legion of Doom, Animal and Hawk defeated the New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, but by disqualification. So technically Legion of Doom won. New Age Outlaws were still the tag team champion. I think a bit after this, they became part of DX. Triple H, Shawn Michaels. Since soon after WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels had to go because this is also the same bit where Shawn Michaels faced off against The Undertaker, because Shawn Michaels was the champion. They had a casket match, and there's a point where Undertaker flips Shawn Michaels up. Shawn lands on this casket, completely fucks up his back. Fucks up his back. I know some say that wasn't entirely the case, but it seemed legit, at least to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed legit that he really did mess up his back and that he was in a lot of pain. So, I mean, he was already a pill popper and a drug abuser already. Even more so than that. The reason I say I think it was a bit more legit is that he never did go to WCW. And Shawn seems like the type of guy that he could have done that. And hell, with WCW, they fucking took everybody, so they would have taken Shawn if they could have, but that wasn't the case. Just then after this, Shawn was the champion, defeated The Undertaker, kept the championship, faced Stone Cold Steve Austin. Steve Austin won, became WWF champion. And then that was WrestleMania 14. And then that was kind of almost the start of the Attitude Era in a way. Like things are already ratcheted up. And you tell by this Royal Rumble that we still have a bit of the old guard where, you know, it's not the most star-packed Royal Rumble. You have some mainstays that are going to be there. Rocky Maivia, who's going to go more and more into his own as The Rock as time goes on. Mick Foley, which I think he comes back 3 times because he had 3 characters: Cactus Jack, Mankind, and Dude Love. You had People of the Nation of Domination. But years later, like I said, we're getting to the Attitude Era where we don't see a lot more of those type of guys come in that they shape the Attitude Era people think of today. So let's get into it. I know I'm to like 9 minutes in to kind of establish that a bit, but I pause the beginning. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. So they went over the rules of what the Royal Rumble is. I am a sucker for the Royal Rumble because you get such a big collection of different types of wrestlers that pop up. And at some wrestlers that you never thought you'd see in the same ring together, because their paths just never meet. But one way they can meet is during WrestleMania. Oh wow, these two wrestlers that they never had a match before, but they get to meet, and those two guys are in the same ring together. And if you do it right, there's a lot of great moments you did create because of that. So again, we got Cactus Jack, early persona Mick Foley, which he used a lot in WCW. Because he didn't become Mankind until he came to WWF. But WCW is more Cactus Jack. And number 2, we're going to have... You're a Chainsaw. Here comes Chainsaw Charlie, which is Terry Funk. Which is sad because Terry Funk just passed away recently. So rest in peace to Mr. Terry Funk. Which I remember him in movies. He was in some Sylvester Stallone films, like Over the Top. In fact, I know that Terry Funk, Stallone was a fan of wrestling. I think he got Terry Funk into Paradise Alley. I remember there's a story where people were talking shit about wrestlers on the set of Paradise Alley, and Stallone told them it was stunt people, stuntmen, and Stallone went up to him and said, "Hey, knock it off. Why don't you try doing what these guys do? Because they do it almost every day within a year by year, put their bodies on the line. Let's see you do that." So you give them some respect. So it seems like Stallone really has respected the wrestling business. And again, cast Terry Funk, and he would be another, not just that, but other movies as well. I think he was in Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, I believe. Like I say, he was in Over the Top. That's one of the bodyguards for Robert Loggia's character. You wouldn't do that nowadays. This is back to the days where they're more open to hit people in the head with chairs. Got hair on the mind because of Terry Funk's hair. Just goading Cactus Jack to hit him. Very nutty idea. Like, come on, come hit me in the head. Now, of course, understandably, there's a reason why they kind of ease up on these hair. God, fucking Terry Funk's hair just all over the place. These chair shots, they calm that down because a lot of concussions are caused because of that. And we see how dangerous concussions can be. Chris Benoit, for example, concussions can be a lot of dire circumstances come upon people because of these concussions. So let's limit chair shots as much as we can. It's a good spot to create a lot of huge impact on someone. Now if someone does a chair shot, it's more on the back. Goodbye to that guy, Tom. That was Tom Brandy. Was it 10 seconds? Which I think that guy was pretty much a jobber. I mean, I could look up Tom Brandy. Salvatore Sincere. ECW is Johnny Gunn. He was in the American Wrestling Federation in 1994. ECW is in there. Team with Tommy Dreamer. Yeah, Tommy Dreamer, okay. When he went to WWF, he was one of the series of jobbers with gimmicks to help elevate stars. Bronx Italian mafioso character, and painting white who falsely claim to be sincere to love everyone. Most of the time wrestled in dart matches. I think pretty much the word where people's like, is listen, you need to come in and these people don't beat you to show how strong they are. You don't really have a lot of quote jobbers, which they're their purpose. I mean, you say that they are and call them that, but for the most part, they're not their. There are jobbers technically, but they're not really called jobbers. Back then, you could much more easily tell who the jobbers are. So here's The Rock, who had first entered WWF, I think it was Survivor Series. And, you know, hey, he's the son of Rocky Johnson, and he was the babyface good guy. And people started to hate him. He was talented, but they just started to hate him because who are you to be given all these opportunities? And it's into the era that people like to have fun with the bad guys, with the anti-heroes, the people that were against authority. They're so used to the baby faces of yesteryear. They wanted rebellion. And that was the audience that kind of grew as this era rebellion. So they put the trash on The Rock and they're just beating the shit out of him. Terry Funk and Mick Foley double teaming. And this. Now The Rock is not out because he went through the middle rope, but you gotta go through the top rope. And Terry Funk nutshotted Mick Foley. But I just say they put Cactus Jack and Terry Funk as, since we're getting into this era where it can't be clean cut WWF of the 80s, the late 80s, so a little bit more, again, get a little bit more of that Attitude Era, starting in that era. A little bit more rough and tumble, a little bit more extreme, a little bit more adult, not just for kids. Because Vince McMahon, the early to mid 90s, they were suffering as a business. All of wrestling was suffering, but the new generation, there were highlights like Bret Hart and some of Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, but you know, Max Moon and Skinner, and like you look at the era, there's a lot of people there like, who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is that? Like you watch the 1995, watch the 1995 Royal Rumble. That will 1994 and 95 Royal Rumble. That'll tell you just the amount of people that are there going, what the fuck? Adam Bomb? Nice moonsault by Terry Funk. And of course, here we have one of the Headbangers, who was a tag team at the time. Sure, these punk rockers types. And now he's giving, Terry Funk's just giving these headbutts to Bosch. Just like, I just noticed that. While the Ross hammered in with his punches to Cactus Jack right in the back of the head. And they're waiting for the next guy. Oh, the Godwins. The pig farmers. Again, this is kind of that Vince McMahon influence where the gimmick is their job. Till Hopper, he was a plumber. IRS, you know, the tax man, Erwin R. Shyster. You know, there's the goon, who was like a guy that wanted to be a hockey player but couldn't get it, so he goes in with hockey pads and hockey jersey and brawls. Was it Berserker, the Viking guy that just likes to throw people off the over the top rope? Which that, I mean, that is an occupation, but still, it's like these cartoony gimmicks. And, you know, that's not what people were wanting. It's like the people who were kids who were really into this. As they get older, they want stuff that they can relate to at that age. I know it's going to sound weird, but it's kind of like me with. I'm a big Ninja Turtle fan. I love the '80s cartoon. Loved it. Watched it when I was a kid. It was on when I was a kid. As I grew older, get into my late teens and 20s, I'm getting more into the comic books. I'm getting more. The 2003 cartoon was a great stepping stone because it's a bit more action. It's a little bit more serious. It's still cartoony stuff, but at times it's a bit more darker. In a way, people wanted that with wrestling as well. So it became cool. It became hip to watch wrestling. Now, of course, you look at WCW, you had Scott Hall and Kevin Nash invading WCW, Hulk Hogan being a villain, the NWO just coming in, backstage brawls invading. Who can you trust? People being, quote, more real. There goes Cactus Jack. But he'll be back as another character, Mankind. Or Do Love, I don't know which one is first. Because, like I said, the Royal Rumbles are fun to watch because they're fast paced. Because even if you're not like it, every minute, 2 minutes, someone's doing pop in. And you just cheers of who's going to come out and which different combination is going to be on in the ring. But that's what happens a lot of times is that they don't really know what to do. So let's go over the rope and I'm going to try to I'm pushing you off, but you're holding on to the rope. I'll push you off, hold it. A lot of these kind of rest stops. So there's a lot of like choke holds. There's a lot of trying to push people off, all that stuff. Terry Funk's holding on by the tip of his toes. An 8-ball, God. Was it the Acolytes or something? That's a faction I barely remember. But they're trying to be like bikers, badasses. Blackjack Bradshaw, who of course would later be JBL. And then later would be commentating. But yeah, a few years he'd be JBL and have that powerful clothesline. Much in the sort of mid 2000s. I think most people remember him the most as JBL. But yeah, there's Bradshaw, who apparently was a dick behind the scenes that was a bully to some people. I don't know if it's true, but I remember hearing that, I forget the guy's name, who was a commentator on ECW, but then ECW got bought and he kind of went to the WWF. But this guy was bullying that guy, and that commentator actually punched and knocked out JBL. I don't know if that's true, but that's one story I remember hearing. The commentary on ECW is like, oh my god, Joey Styles? Yeah, I remember hearing a rumor that Joey Styles at one point knocked out JBL. I don't know if that's true or not. I loved it for that to be the case, though. But we got Terry Funk's hanging in there, man. We got The Rock. We got the Godwins, one of the Godwins, the pig farmers, where their matches would be like, okay, here's a bucket of slop. If they beat the guy, pour it onto you. Like I said, after this, you'd have. This is around the time that, for a while, like WCW was winning, because now WCW and WWF are going head to head. Oh yeah, Jim Cornette was still here. I forgot Jim Cornette was still here. Worked with Jeff Jarrett. And they're beating up Owen Hart. So yeah, we got Jeff Jarrett, who later on, a few years, I remember the story where he kind of, I think went to WCW for a bit, and then came back to WWF. Or I don't know if that had happened yet already. I can't remember the timeline. But then when China got a little bit more usage, there's a bit where Jeff Jarrett was supposed to lose to China. And Jeff Jarrett kind of said, because I believe his contract had gone over, so they could, he didn't have to do anything. It's like, give me this money. And then I probably walked around and said, actually, this money. Walked around a bit more, actually, this money. And then I'll do it. So he got paid a shitload of money to go in, have a match, do a job for China, leave, and he got like a good payoff. And I think soon after he worked in, I think TNA. Although it's funny, I think nowadays Jeff Jarrett is in WWF, WWE as an agent. So I guess eventually they did let him come back. So we got Steve Blackman. Which Steve Blackman, I remember not minding Steve Blackman. He's a bit more like a martial artist guy. I forget what the weapons he has. Kind of the weapons that Jeff Speakman would have in The Perfect Weapon. Those sticks. And sometimes there'd be these no DQ matches. Or there's a brawl and he comes out, he has these things and starts using them. Sadly, Steve Blackman didn't have a whole lot. There you go, there's a nice tit there. The Godwin. I forget which Godwin he is. It was always amazing to me, like, how a Royal Rumble worked. Where, okay, when do you decide now, okay, I'm going to work on this guy, or I'm going to work with this guy. Okay, this is when I'm going to take hits. And then, well, when am I going to be able to give hits? Like, is there a certain time periods like, okay, I'm going to beat on you. Now you don't beat on me. Okay, now you're not going to get any offense. Now you don't get offense this way. Okay, this time... D'Lo Brown. Part of the Nation of Domination. And that's the thing, like, so far in the Royal Rumble match, if you're talking about, like, memorable moments, I mean, Cactus Jack and Terry Funk having a little chair trash can match before everything. The Rock did a trash can on top of him and a chair hit onto him when he's got the trash can onto himself. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to talk about so far as for big moments. I think the only two people is the jobber that got kicked out in 10 seconds, thrown out, and then Mick Foley is one of 3 appearances here. So that's the thing is that... there you go. It's true, every man for himself, even though D'Lo Brown and The Rock are in the same Nation of Domination, but I'm sure that's supposed to be a kernel of... Eventually, The Rock was going to be separated from Nation of Domination. That maybe at first they look at it, they go, maybe Farouk, who had been a champion in WCW, but The Rock just had the personality and the it factor. They kind of knew he'd be the bigger star. I don't remember who the fuck the Turdian is. I mean, that was the name of the villain in Highlander, the Turdian. But who the fuck is Turdian? I don't remember who the fuck Kurgan is. Who the fuck is this guy? So one of the headbangers is hitting him, and now he's trying to do these big like moves. So I guess his gimmick is that to not sell. So yeah, this guy's trying to be the big guy that owned a. That was a good whirlwind kit. Too bad it didn't connect that Steve Blabman did. The Steve Blabman did like a nice whirlwind kit, but again, Sally did not connect. But you tell the Curdy is definitely the tallest guy right now of the group, so that's pretty much his job. The big, powerful guy. How do we get him out of there? And he took out one of the headbangers. Yeah, Owen Hart, he got hit by Jeff Jarrett, so I don't know if he's out for good or if he'll come back. There's Mark Barrow with Sable. With the Mark Barrow, the thing I remember that is that he was in WCW as kind of this Little Richard type of wrestler. Like Little Richard was a wrestler. I feel good. Do. Wow. Wow, man, Mark Barrow and this character. But he couldn't play that in WWF. Otherwise, they'd get sued. So because of that, Mark Barrow was kind of only trained to be that type of Mark Barrow. So when he got in, people didn't really know what to do with him. And in fact, Sable, his wife, girlfriend, manager, more people were more towards her because of how sexy she is, and it was between her and Sonny. And Jim Cornette said it best. Sonny was more of an upfront cunt, and Sable was more of an undercover cunt. Sonny would stab you from the front. Sable would stab you in the back. So, and she would get these contracts for that would just she would get a lot more money than a lot of the wrestlers who put their bodies on the line. So a lot of people kind of pissed off about that. Understandably so. Like, you just show your naked ass a few times or your scantily clad ass a couple times. You get paid more than we do, and we're getting hurt here. I mean, there you go. Ken Shamrock. That's a tough motherfucker there. Nice tits there. And look at the crowd. Look how just gung-ho they are for Ken Shamrock. They're cheering. He does the kicks. They all get the motherfucker out. And there you go. I mean, they're not cheering because of Kurgan. They don't give a fuck about Kurgan. They're cheering that the heroes, or the people they like, oh, here's this slow-ass motherfucker that we don't care about. They got in and tried to pull his bullshit where he's big, tough guy, so he must eliminate everybody. Yeah, people in the crowd don't give a fuck about this guy. And Mark Barrow, I remember at one point there was talks of like him going up against Stone Cold Steve Austin, but then there was this angle Will Sable body slam Mark Barrow, and then Steve Austin called and said, "So who am I going to fight now?" I mean, if Mark Barrow's the type of character in wrestling that he get his ass slammed, body slammed, by his wife, his manager, how is he going to be difficult to fight? Meaning, okay, this is a guy that this lady, who's like a Playboy playmate, at least looks like it, is able to body slam this guy, but I'm supposed to struggle beating this guy? It just logistically not make sense. So now this is Mark Barrow era where he's thinks that he's like a boxer. But Mark Merrow just did not gain much traction. Like I said, the thing people remember about him is Sable. Which Sable, I think, would go on to be married to Brock Lesnar. I don't know if she still is. And here's the other headbanger. And we got D'Lo choking The Rock. We got Nation of Domination, two of them going at each other. I did put in those little bits of eventually The Rock is going to break away. Actually, I think at first, didn't The Rock become the leader of the Nation? And then Farouk kind of was pushed away. But I think eventually they know that that faction is going to break apart. Because the Rock is just... You knew eventually he was going to be a star. You just tell. I think that the people higher ups do that too. And Mark Barrow is trying to be this boxer with the taped hands and the shorts. Like, even these are not the heavy hitters. Just visually, people mostly wearing black. Black trunks, black shirt. D'Lo Brown mostly wearing black. Oh, here's Mankind. There you go, Mick Foley got his revenge. There goes Terry Funk. Rest in peace, Terry Funk. To be greatly missed. Rest in peace to you, man. And of course, The Rock and Mick Foley were definitely going to have a lot more moments later. You had that match, the I Quit match, where he hit Mick Foley, what, 10 times in the head with a chair? More so, I think. And then later on, they become The Rock and Sock Connection. So a lot of history is going to be made between The Rock and Mick Foley. Of course, here The Rock has his rivalry with Ken Shamrock. The artist formerly known as Goldust. You can see he looks fairly different. Doesn't have the gold. Because it's not Goldust. He was formerly Goldust. So it's like, okay, it's Goldust, but they're trying to do something different here. So he's not wearing the gold, he's wearing white. His face paint is more red. His hair is blue, like it was Dennis Rodman. I mean, you would think you'd be like, you know what, I'm tired of being Goldust anymore. I'm going to be Dustin Rhodes. Since everyone else did a bit more serious. Like I said, if you just go back a few years, again, look at the 1995 Royal Rumble. And that looks like Starburst, Skittles, all the colors of the rainbow with the way people's outfits are, the way they look. And then again, you see this and much darker clothes for the most part. Again, black trunks, black shirts, black boots. Yeah. I mean, other than Goldust, but even then, it's OT has more whites. It's not as candy coated colors as usual. So it just has changed to be more for the teenage adult world and less kid friendly. Here's Jeff Jarrett with Jim Cornette, which I am a Jim Cornette fan. I listen to his podcast all the time. Don't always agree with his political views. I don't listen to that part, but love his stories, love his wrestling stories, love his opinion of wrestling today. Very funny, very entertaining. One of my favorite shows, podcasts. One of the things I listen to the most on YouTube. That's why someone was actually nice enough to send this with Jim Cornette's autograph. So, which is very nice. There's Owen Hart. There you go. Now he's back. People were getting excited. People were cheering. People love Owen Hart. Rest in peace to him, man. We pledge allegiance to the leader of the mighty cult of Cornette and to the pro wrestling for which he stands. No blow-up dolls, ditch spots, or dance routines. With blood, sellouts, and shoot angels for all. Nice heel kick across Jeff Jarrett. Now it's even really packed. We got Mark Merrow versus D'Lo Brown. Owen Hart with Jeff Jarrett. Rocky and Ken Shamrock. And Owen gets Jeff Jarrett out. And that was a nice pop from people. Yeah! Just didn't rest in peace, Owen Hart. Oh, now we got the Honky Tonk Man. I don't think he's going to last that long. I'd never liked the Honky Tonk Man. I always thought he fucking sucked. Always hated Honky Tonk Man. I know in the 80s he was like, wow, The Rock eliminated Ken Shamrock? I thought it'd be like a bigger pop from the audience, like, oh. But I think sadly, well, people are more seeing the Owen Hart Triple H stuff. So some might not even notice, wait, Ken Shamrock is gone? There's Diaz, Triple H. Gets Owen Hart out of there. So Triple H has the European belt. This is going to lead into Owen Hart versus Triple H or something of that nature. Now, of course, this is after when Owen Hart was fighting Stone Cold Steve Austin for the IC belt. Owen Hart did the pile driver. He messed up, broke Austin's neck. Austin took many years. In a weird way, did help his career in the fact of people were wanting and didn't get what they wanted. Because people didn't get what they wanted, it made the weight that much more palpable. But I mean, it didn't help his career in the fact that he couldn't do as much in the ring as he could back to the day. So his moveset is more limited because of that. And was much less of a wrestler, more of a brawler in the ring. Talk about Austin. And then, what was it? But here's Ahmed Johnson. And of course, Austin came back with a vengeance. But there's Ahmed Johnson. And this is a guy that you could tell Vince saw special things in Ahmed. Because he came in and he had this great big physical body, the muscles, the strength. And not too long when he first came in, he was like winning the IC belt. Because he had like the big power moves, like the Ultimate Warrior. Like a black Ultimate Warrior, in a way. Just his body and his big power moves. But sadly, Ahmed, his promos, you could barely understand what he was saying. And he would get hurt a lot. He would get hurt a lot. I know he says it's because of racism, that he didn't get further. But again, it's... He got hurt all the time. He got hurt all the time. So, oh, he's going to be pushed. Ahmed Johnson's hurt. So now, can't do much with him. So now Mark Henry, a very young Mark Henry. God, look at him. I know he came in World's Strongest Man. I know Mark Henry's not a fan of Ahmed Johnson and vice versa in real life. This is why it's interesting to watch these two go at it. And like I said, Mark Henry was known as the World's Strongest Man and won those type of competitions. And from what I understand, when he got into wrestling, things were not going that well. And I know he mentioned that Bret Hart, when Bret was around, helped him out. Bret Hart helped Mark Henry, and Mark Henry would go on to say, if it wasn't for Bret Hart, I would have been out of wrestling. Like, they were ready to throw me out, but Bret Hart talked to me. He taught me things. After as well after Bret Hart is gone, by this point he's in WCW being used for jack shit, honestly. When Bret Hart didn't want to go to WCW. He got fucked over because his fucking powder, his dust. I can't believe Honky Tonk Man is still there. Usually that type of guy would be gone in 10 seconds. I know Austin is in this. Oh, does he sneak in? He might sneak in. Oh, there goes Ahmed Johnson. Ahmed Johnson, I don't think he would last that much longer. Damn, it took that referee out. His feet landed right on. Why did Ahmed hit one of the Godwins? Why is he fighting him now? Why is he fighting one of the Godwins? I don't understand what's going on here. The Godwins did not... What does he have against that Godwin? The Godwin didn't eliminate him. That's like a heel thing. That's like a heelish thing to do. Here's this guy who did nothing to me, so I'm just going to beat him up. I guess, hey, we gotta make him look more powerful, so let him beat on someone. It may be a guy who had nothing to do with it, but okay. That's so fucking weird. That is so fucking weird. Kama. I think he had other DMs before this too. I can't remember. That wasn't the guy who was Papa Shango before, was he? Can't remember. Because I know the guy was Papa Shango. He had like a lot of other DMX. I'm not sure if that was him or not. I can't remember. Maybe not. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Yeah, he was Papa Shango. And then he would be the Godfather later on. Okay, so yeah, he was Papa Shango. Kama doesn't seem to be one of his more famous gimmicks. I mean, the Godfather, if you remember the hose he had, since being the pimp. I think Papa Shango was probably the gimmick people remember the most out of him. Not because he had like big, amazing matches, but just it was so quirky and weird that people remember it. Like the Ultimate Warrior, his face paint melting. Just listen how the people just completely erupted. And now, from what I understand, before this, Austin was like beating up everybody, punching everybody. So that's why everybody's like waiting for this guy. He gets one guy out. This guy making a big impact now. Everybody's on him. He's like, "You motherfucker! That's number two." He got Mark Merrill, that guy one. The other guy two. Kick this guy in the nuts. Hit you as well. Take this fucking vest off. I'm gonna strangle you with it. Now the people, look how crazy. Look at the cameras flashing. This is the guy they were waiting for. This is how you know this guy's a star. Let's kick you. Boom, he comes in. Everybody's on him. He throws out two people. I don't Mark Merrow. I forget who the other guy was they threw out. And Mike Tyson watching all along. I can't remember the second guy he threw out. Oh, the other Godwin. Yep, because we know that Godwin has a chance to be the number one contender for the championship. I didn't. When would Steve Austin be in the same ring as one of the Godwins? See, that's the interesting thing about the Royal Rumble is these. Not that people were wishing for this matchup, but just something you wouldn't see normally. Basically, here's people that Austin could take out. You know, one of the headbangers, one of the Godwins. Yeah, like Kamakar went up to punch Austin. He had no reaction, so he's like, well, I guess I'll go over here. I'm so surprised Honky Tonk Man is still in there. Getting beaten by JBL. Yeah, Mark Henry. Is there of all the people that he would take on the beat, it would be one of the Godwins. Oh, Savio Vega, that's right. Him and Austin had a thing well before that. It was like Austin versus Savio Vega. More people for Austin to beat. the underdog in a way. Punch. Come on. Ah. Ooh. Great clothesline. And Dustin sold it. Goldust sold that shit. Such a great clothesline. Again, Austin comes in, it just brings everything, a new sense of energy to it. Great clothesline, man. And Dustin Rhodes, wonderful job selling it. He went down and he's made you feel like it's felt. Ooh, Ryan the clincher. Ryan the nuts. Ooh. It is pretty packed in here, man. It's like barely anywhere to move. Damn. So was Dustin Rhodes like biting Savio Vega? Yeah, Savio Vega and Austin, they had a they were having matches together. Was it '96? Fairly early on. Probably like one of those strap matches. There's Farouk. And Farouk's going after The Rock. There's a look at this. The Rock in Austin. The Rock in Austin. A precursor of the future. What a legendary rivalry this would be. The Rock in Austin. Ooh, right to the stairs. The Rock in Austin. Talk about an early taste. Austin Austin the badass, representing the everyman. Because I didn't mention we got Jim Ross and we got Jerry the Teen Lawler in commentary. Jim Ross is great on commentary. He's one of the best ever. I never liked Jerry Lawler on commentary. I get it. You're not supposed to like him. He's the heel commentator. But I never liked him. It's a fucking crime they did not keep Bobby Heenan. I think Bobby moved Bobby Heenan because where WCW was, it was like closer to his family. So maybe it helped. And maybe it helped money-wise, financial-wise, but they should have... It just would have been so much better if Bobby Heenan was here. Bobby Heenan with Jim Ross, all this stuff, I think just would have been so much better. So, of course, here's Do Love, the final of the three Mick Foley appearances. Ooh. Ooh, another clothesline. And look how people were cheering. The Rock the Stone Cold punching The Rock, waiting for his moment to shine. His turn. Hey, it's like people knew that someone knew that, hey, Austin and Rock, maybe they got something together, man. Maybe they got something together. Rock having charisma, Austin having that. Just. Again, Austin made this Royal Rumble. Chains. and no shits were given by the crowd. People like, who the fuck is that? Who gives a shit? Here comes Mr. Jobber, chains. Is Lud Nuts after you? Yeah, they do mention on commentary that to reestablish that The Rock has been in here for 50 minutes, and before this he wrestled Ken Shamrock, and technically won, maintained his IC belt. But it seems like there's a lot of people that need to get the hell out of here. I mean, we only got like 6 minutes left, so pretty quickly there's going to be people let the bodies hit the floor, so to speak. Oh, damn. Mark Henry. Yeah, not many instances where Steve Austin and Mark Henry would be facing against each other. So I know Vader's one of these. Yep, Vader. Did Jim Ross say that big old stinky grizzly bear? Damn, all the face paint's off of Gold Dust. Yeah, Jerry Lawler just said that. All the paint is off his face. Well, there goes Jerry Lawler. I mean, there's a Honky Tonk Man. I think that was the last one, Vader. So now it's just clear them out one by one. We have 5 minutes to do it. Like I said, what makes this Royal Rumble fun is Austin. Mick Foley with 3 characters. That's an entertaining gag. And I like Mick Foley. The Rock, talented guy, does a good job selling throughout this whole thing, doing a good job selling. Oh, there goes Steve Austin getting headbanger out. Oh, there goes Kama. That's two. Two more, I should say. Stopping mudhole in him. I think reference Stone Cold won the previous Royal Rumble when he got thrown out and then went back in and threw Bret Hart out, and Bret Hart got pissed. What the hell's going on? So this time he's going to win a bit more, quote, legit. Ooh, there's Savio Vega. Definitely showing Austin's powerful. I guess that bit is Vader beat Goldust earlier. So I guess, okay, Vader's going to win, but Goldust is going to take you out in the Royal Rumble. So, gave a little bit of thing for Goldust to do. And then he gets thrown out. So yeah, do love Mick Foley, Rocky, The Rock, Mark Henry, Chains, Did he eliminate the guy? We didn't see it. I think he did, and we didn't even get to see it. There goes Mark Henry. We didn't even see him eliminate that Chains guy. Great job on editing. Or camera work. Here we go. Thanks for the replay. There you go. So Steve Austin, Mick Foley, The Rock, and Farouk. Good last four. Ron Simmons. Farouk, Ron Simmons. Bang, bang. Mandible claw, but right in the nuts. And Farouk tastier Mick Foley. That was a nice bit there. I mean, The Rock is being smart. Like, let them do it. Let me rest. Let them do it. Goodbye, Farouk. Well, yet again, going to split there. The Rock versus Austin. There you go. I think this is what people wanted. Rock and Austin. Rock and Austin. Look how people are just going crazy for this. It's like here people knew, we may have something going for this. And hey, building up that stunner. There are times he's ready to do it, or you think you're going to do it. Like when he hit Savio Vader, people thought he was going to do it, but he throws the guy out. Nope. It's like Jake the Snake Roberts. You think he's going to do DDT? Waiting for it. Then when he does it, yeah, he did. Say it was Stone Cold Stunner. You think he's going to do it? Yeah, he did it. And he did the most crucial moment. Stun the Rock, throw him out, win. And Mike Tyson's like, yeah. Sponsored by Budweiser and Pepsi. And then would go on to beat Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. Now, I mean, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, their match was entertaining. Because I don't like Shawn Michaels as a person, but he was a very talented performer. Undertaker, I mean, it's The Undertaker. What more can be said? He's iconic with wrestling. Vader and Goldust was what it was. The Little People match with Sonny. Worst. I don't know why the fuck that was on there. I mean, think about it. We're trying to be more serious. We're trying to be more with all these other wrestlers. And we have a Little People match. We didn't need that. I mean, it was nice to look at Sonny, but of course, when I look at Sonny, I'm just reminded of, oh, that's that crazy bitch that slept with a lot of wrestlers and would go kill someone because of DUI antics. And now is in jail, deservedly so. The Rock and Ken Shamrock, nice to see those two guys. So I didn't mind that one. Two talented performers. But yeah, the Royal Rumble, like I said, other than, I mean, Mick Foley, The Rock, cool to see people like Farouk, like I said, Ron Simmons and other people in there. But Austin made that Royal Rumble for me. You tell the audience they were into it, but I mean, is that okay? The Headbangers, okay, the Godwins, 8-Ball, Chains, kind of like these tag teams, which to be honest, the tag team division was pretty lousy. I mean, the New Age Outlaws and Legion of Doom, they had a match think it was before this. Yeah, earlier. So yeah, they had a match earlier, but I mean the tag team was not, the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, that type of. It'd be years before the tag team division was really given a shit in WWF. But so Ahmed Johnson, which seemed like it's going to be a big deal, but then he gets hurt. Then he comes back. Then he gets hurt again. And then you think he's going to take the Rockets onto them, but then he would leave for other. And he'd have a bad attitude. And when he did hurt so easily, have a bad attitude. Legends coming back. I mean, Honky Tonk Man. Don't give a fuck about Honky Tonk Man. And the fact that he was in there for so long, he seems like a guy that should be thrown out in 10 seconds. But yeah, when Austin came in, Owen Hart got some nice pops. Ken Shamrock got a nice pop. It was great to see them. I mean, rest in peace, Owen Hart. It's still a tragic what happened to him. How the stupid thing he should not have had to do and should not have done to go down and then fell and then they kept the show going. I think Bret Hart himself said it best. If it was Shane McMahon that fell and died, do you think Vince would have kept going with the show? I doubt it. Oh, it's Vince. No, I doubt. Even with Vince and who he is, if it was his own son, he would not have fucking kept the show going. Give me a break. But they kept going with, Owen Hart's blood on the fucking mat. On a side note, that's why, people say, well, Bret Hart whines too much. I know I'm going off tangent, but I would say I enjoy this Royal Rumble for Austin, especially. Like I said, Ken Shamrock, The Rock, Mick Foley, his 3 characters. I enjoy those as well. Fast-paced, fun. Takes me back, so it's a bit nostalgia. 58 minutes went by really quick. Great ending. Rock and Austin, you tell the audience were just electrified seeing these two go back and forth. Like, yeah. It's like, looks like we got something here. We have the elements of dissolution of the Nation of Domination when The Rock threw out Farouk. And when Farouk came in, immediately went after The Rock. Obviously, Owen Hart's going to go against Triple H. That stuff. But, yeah, people say, well, Bret Hart, he whines too much. Why doesn't he let it go? I'm sitting there going, do you know what the fuck you talking about? Just off tag, since, Owen Hart, may he rest in peace. Bret Hart, he's doing a good job, as in he's got the look, he's not the best in promos, but he's a great technical wrestler. He's one of my favorite wrestlers. Tells wonderful stories in the ring. Love the way he wrestles. He makes pink look good. Not many guys that tear off the hot pink look, but he does fairly well. And like I said, always been a fan of Bret Hart. We don't put the bootstraps on you, the rocket on you. Well, not really, because we want you to be champion, but how about Lex Luger? Okay, you'll be the champion again, but how about, Hulk Hogan will win WrestleMania 9 and get the belt? Oh, okay, Lex Luger. Oh, so it's you, but how about Hulk Hogan? It's you, but how about Lex Luger? It's you, but how about Diesel, Kevin Nash? It's you, but how about Shawn Michaels? It's like they never really, it's like they didn't really want Bret. Even though he's a good face for the company. Then you screw him over in Montreal, where he didn't want to go. He wanted to stay. Yes, WCW offered him a lot of money, but he went to Vince like a man and says, this is what they're offering me. Listen, if you're offering lower, I get it. I do want to stay here. Because Bret's, oh, he took himself too seriously. Yeah, a lot of people should. Because wrestling's a fucking joke nowadays. If people took their work more seriously, maybe wrestling wouldn't be as much of a fucking joke nowadays. And he had loyalty. He was going to stay. And then, like, okay, you know, talk with Vince. Okay, fine, I'll go. And it's not that he wouldn't drop the strap. It's just like, I don't really want to drop it to Shawn because Shawn is a prick. He's a dickhead. He's a douchebag. He will mock me saying I would never drop it for you. I would never do it for you. Well, fuck this guy. And he's like, I'll drop it to Ken Shamrock. And Ken Shamrock said, yeah, Bret really said that. Bret said that he would like to work with me and drop the belt to me. So Bret Hart said, I'll drop the belt to Ken Shamrock. I'll drop it here. No, they didn't want to do that because Vince had a hard on for Shawn. So do the Montreal screw job. Fuck loyalty. Fuck respect. Bret screwed Bret, which is not true, in my opinion. And then he went to WCW. Gets fucked over even more. They put him in a Ric Flair and then against Mr. Perfect. And you're like, they're good wrestlers, but not, let's see, this whole story you've been screwed. Oh, I fought you, Diesel, Razor Ramon. I remember you two guys. Hogan. I'm a champion. They screwed me. I technically didn't lose. I got screwed. So I'm a champion. Let me go against you, Hogan. Worked yourself up to that. Let alone Steen and all these other guys. Luger. We were co-winners of some kind of Rumble long ago. But we never faced off. Always wonder who's better, you or me. All these storylines you build up, they did nothing. Just Hogan. I don't like Bret. Fuck Bret, so fuck him over. I gotta be the top dog, not him. So he's usually shit. He's barely used at all. They put him on the secondary shit show no one watched called Thunder. Then Eric Bischoff goes off later saying, well, I got Bret because we had this second show named Thunder and I wanted him to put him on that. So you have the hottest guy around, as in the guy with the most buzz, the most talk, the most conversation, great performer, great wrestler, and you won't put him on your secondary show and not in the main event status at all? That makes a lot of fucking sense. But Eric Bischoff's an idiot. He's a fucking moron. So they completely screwed that up. They didn't let him. And Bret tried his best. You know, worked with Chris Benoit, worked with Booker T. And then you fucking other bullshit. His brother Owen Hart dies. Just some stupid shit they pulled. Vince Russo or whoever the fuck telling Owen Hart to do this. Then the tragic bit of his brother-in-law Davey Boy Smith not be able to fight the addiction, and then him dying. Then kicked in the head by Goldberg, concussion, which Bret says was probably one of the big reasons that led to him having a stroke, effectively ending his career, never to be able to wrestle again. Just think about if Bret Hart was able to deal with Shawn Michaels. Remember Shawn Michaels came out like 2002 and had such a new life? Imagine Bret Hart did that. Bret Hart worked with Edge. Bret Hart worked with, hell, even CM Punk. Maybe that'd be a bit old, but Shawn Michaels, these guys were working. I mean, you never know. Never could. Never to see that. Because stroke is not something that you just walk off. Pretty serious fucking thing, so. Like, you get screwed over by these guys you're loyal to. You go to a company that they usually like shit, which is a politics, and they throw you in the fucking garbage and waste your precious moments of your career. Your brother fucking dies in the rain and they keep going on with the show. Your brother-in-law, and then also, other people die. Some big guy who doesn't know what he's doing, Goldberg. Which I like Goldberg, I think he's talented, but he can hurt people, and he did. Not on purpose, to be fair. But he still did. I'm like, I totally get why Bret Hart would be pissed off. Totally get it. So I know that was a whole like 20-minute tangent. I just had to get that off my chest. Because if they had kept Bret, how great would he have been in this Royal Rumble? Well, he was great in the last Royal Rumble, so I think Bret would have been great in the Attitude Era. And like him against Kurt Angle, him against Edge, him against some of these other guys, the maybe being a tag team and working against the Hardy Boys or something like that. And maybe like, hey, Hart, Bret, and Austin were enemies, but ultimately they have to become allies against The Rock and Vince McMahon. Maybe you have Vince screw Bret over on something else, so that Bret hates Vince McMahon just like Austin hates Vince McMahon, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Hell, what they should have done was that, Bret's like, fine, I'll take it, but it's going to be for a short amount of time. And then WCW's shit. Bret maybe work with Vince and say, okay, Bret, how about we do this? I'll screw you over and make sure the contract is only a year. Don't sign more. You come back, and then I just imagine if that was really, if they had pre-planned it where we'll go with the screw job and then you come back and then, wow, Austin hates Vince, Bret has good reason to hate Vince, now you two work together against Vince and The Rock, Vince and Undertaker, all that stuff. And you still have this tension between these two because they're history, but they have bigger enemies to go against. I don't know, just, there's a lot of stuff you could have gotten out of it. It's a shame. But anyway, fun Royal Rumble. Again, I'm a big Stone Cold Steve Austin fan, so that's the big reason why. Austin was strong. People was loving him. They were cheering. He got the most eliminations out of everybody, throwing the most people out. Great ending. Stunner. Throw The Rock out. Great last forward. The Mick Foley, Steve Austin, and The Rock. And again, Farouk, not a bad choice. Again, fun. Very fun. I quite enjoy this. So thanks to Brookelyn for the request. I really appreciate it, man. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you guys later.